All right, hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you have not seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness in the highest levels of love light. This is part 2 of a video share and a writing that I did recently. So it's very different. It does not include any light language or sound harmonics if that's something you're interested in. I'm doing a basically code that I write in. I am decoding the code. However, it's never truly decoded because it's so multidimensional from my perspective that it can mean different things at different times. And I want to just kind of start out by saying that, and I never said that in the first video. And so for those of you word nerds out there or people who have watched these and gone, what is she talking about? This is for you. Or if you're just curious and want to play with the energy behind the words. I really invite everybody to stay very open-minded and open-hearted when watching these videos, because this is just based on my own perspective. This is my own creative expression, and everybody has their own creative expression. And for some people, it may not be their cup of tea. That's a reference to my last video. Anyways, I wrote this whole thing about iced tea. So to kind of do a little recap, this isn't going to make a lot of sense unless you've watched the first video, but I'll do my best to kind of tie it in together. The writing that I've been sharing is multidimensional. I'll do a really quick recap. As a storyteller, okay, as I'm writing this, and I made the example last time of Joe and Sally. We could call her Sally if you want to. Let's say, Joe and Jenny are walking, and essentially from my perspective as the storyteller, I am sharing a story about Joe and Jenny walking down the street, and I could be sharing through my words and the energy behind my words how Joe and Jenny are feeling as they walk down the street. I could share through the reading in between the lines where they have been coming from, where they are heading towards, where are they walking to, where did they come from on that walk. As a storyteller, that is going into the past and time traveling, or going into the future and time traveling there. I could be painting a picture and talk about the environment that Joe and Sally, what is it with Sally? Joe and Jenny are walking in. We'll just say Sally, whatever. Maybe Joe's walking with Jenny and Sally. I don't know. And I could be painting a picture of what that looks like. What does that feel like? How do they feel in their bodies? What does it smell like? What senses are they using? What is Joe thinking about as he walks with Sally? What is Sally thinking about? Maybe Sally is thinking about her family, which is connected to her in a completely different time zone, a completely different place. So as a storyteller, if Sally's thinking about her family and they're in a completely different country, that then literally takes the story to that country in that moment while Joe and Sally are walking. Does that make sense? So that's just kind of an idea how multi-dimensionality works from a really simplistic explanation. And we do this with our words. We do this with sound. We do this with color. We do this with our feeling, so much more. So when I've written these writings, that's just my way of accessing my super consciousness, my supercomputer, which is plugging into open source unification. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of a screen share right here and start off where I left off last time. So again, let me just say, if you are interested in following along because you really want to nerd out and really grasp this, I invite you to go to my website, pull up the blog, and you can follow along as I read. And you can also pause this and click on the sites that I have also linked up at the bottom of my blog, I think, at this point. And I'm trying to zoom in so you can read along with me as well. And you don't have to do any of that, really. I mean, this may not be something you want to follow along with at all, and you just want to read the blog. Okay. So I'm going to go into screen share briefly and put my blue blockers on. And this was about building a trust. So again, we're building this bridge, this trust bridge. We're creating this bridge, not only from our body, but through earth and through our mechanics, through our computers, through our technology, through our political system, through our social and economic system, et cetera, which means we also have to break down the old system. I asked, so I ended off with the wave potential of beingness. I asked, why me? You guys, it's funny because I would be the last person that I would ever think of talking about computer science. And the answer was, your scoreboard is free of the judgment game. So this allows the freedom for you to work out these rhythmic game sequences with open-ended fortitude, balanced, right on time. Open the space that says we have arrived. For in this, you pick up on the charm. A whole roll of information, film, is at your fingertips. Trip the wire, trip the switch, inner alchemy has spoken. So I'm going to pause with that just for a moment because this whole paragraph is a play on words. If you look back at my previous video, talk about rhythm in the sense of computers and technology. This is basically saying open the space that says we have arrived. So you guys, this isn't just a message to me. This is a message to anybody reading this. If we open that space that says I'm here now, I don't have to get anywhere. That's when we pick up on the charm. And the charm is the spell, the multidimensional. So we end up picking up on what has been put in front of us as a spell, meaning a charm, written, spoken, whatever, that's meant to pull us off track. Television, the green screen, all of that. But we also pick up on the charm, the real magic, okay? And that's when we can tap into the whole roll of information. We don't just see one scene from the film, we see all the scenes. We zoom out with our lens and we see the star, what did I call it earlier? Starburst, not just one tunnel of light. We zoom out and there's starbursts everywhere. And you can again see that in my last video. So it's all at our fingertips. For me, it's as I write, right? As I click the keyboards, as I see this as code. Trip the wire, okay? This is like, trip it. There's been traps that have been set up to keep us down. We're switching it. We're switching it back into our own rhythmic game sequences. Okay. That was pretty self-explanatory, although I know it's deeper than that, but I'm going to try not to be as detailed as the last one. Let us change the line for a moment. Ring into another bandwidth, a whole new letter charge. You in charge of the signature. The key is in the heart codes ignite, heart codes ignite. The resource of inner alchemy. You balance on a thin line, if you will. And I was seeing a tightrope walker. Your chord streams, music caroling is allowing you to chime in past the point of no return. Works like a charm, pendant, dip in, pendulum. For this wave font that you create spills through, courses through, lays out the course, sheet of musical chords. I'm going to stop there just for a moment. So the tightrope. Basically, I'm jumping from one rope to another. The tightrope, you balance on a thin line. The tightrope walker, this is DNA, the braiding of the DNA. Our braid, our heart signature, our heart codes, and I am guided to share this. So let me stop share. So what I'm going to do is go into a little bit of Dan Winters. I talk about him and I talk about heart math all of the time because I didn't realize that that's whose work I was most connecting in with, which is really cool. So for me, again, I nerd out on this stuff. This is fun for me, guys. So let me pause just for a moment. Okay. Whew, we're just going for it. So if you guys have not checked out Dan Winters or Heart Math, which he helped create Heart Math, they're not the one and the same right now, but Heart Math is a very basic and valuable tool that you can use. Dan Winters has taken it to a completely new level, or the next level, I guess. So anyways, he has a website, and I'm just gonna give you guys a little disclaimer here, and I love you, Dan, but that website is holy moly. So I'm gonna try to get, I just skipped to the PowerPoint, and I love it because if you go in and look at the PowerPoint presentation that he gives, this is it. This is life. This is what we're talking, this is what I'm writing about, okay? But didn't even realize until I found him. I think somebody on YouTube even pointed him out to me, a couple people. So I don't want to like just say one person because I can think of one person that did, but anyways. And I'm going to provide to this one person's information who is on here, who has provided some Therify. And so I'll add that link. Okay, I digress. So I'm going to share screen and just go into real quick back into, let us change the line for a moment, ring into another bandwidth, a whole new letter charge, you in charge of the signature. So if you guys have ever seen Alice in Wonderland, there's a scene with a caterpillar blowing out smoke rings, asking, who am I? That is centripetal force, okay? Those are the rings, the bandwidths, the rings of the heart, the rose. A whole new letter charge. It's implosion. It's the charge that we are creating. You, me, we, in charge of the signature, our soul signature, our frequency, the writing on the wall. So here we go. I'm going to go into the PowerPoint presentation. You guys, this is awesome. This is what the rings are. This is our DNA, right? I love this. This is the golden ratio, non-destructive compression. I can't tell you how many times I've written down compression or centripetal, and I didn't know what any of this was until I looked this up and went, okay. So this is called the mother star that Dan refers to. It's got all these building blocks of matter and then some. This is the DNA braid. Okay, this is what we're talking about. This is our body. This is alchemy. This is science. This is the rose, the code of the rose. You see how that looks like a rose once it comes out? It's so cool. The star tetrahedron and beyond. The key is in the heart codes. Codes ignite. That's what happens and what it looks like when our heart ignites. It is the resource of inner alchemy. You balance on a thin line. This is the line, okay? This is the line. See it kind of braiding here? Balance. Your chord streams, musical caroling is allowing you to chime in. So the chime is the sound. It is the bell, okay? Back to that. This is talking about the bell. I think it's the bell curve, the sound of the bell ringing in the ears. Okay, this is all about implosion and our bodies going through these upgrades or finding bliss. And music caroling. The reason I brought up the music caroling is because others are helping me with this. We aren't doing this alone. You know, we are, what is that Christmas song? Sing loud for all to hear. The best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing loud for all to hear. That's true. Okay. When we sing together, our voices create a bandwidth. We band together in frequency. We then ignite not only our own spark and connect to source, we ignite one another, each other. We ignite one in each other. And this is if it's done, of course, in that joy, I'm hearing Ode to Joy, right? Those Beethoven, love that song. Okay. So that was that particular paragraph. So it's allowing us to go past the point of no return. There's no going back. We've crossed the threshold, you guys. So if we think we haven't, that's our own limitations and us buying into an old system that's trying to get us to slow us down. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Remember that song? Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. That's where we're at. Works like a charm, a pendant. So if you look at a pendant, and I'm just going to share really quickly, a pendant is something you hold around your neck. It's a charm. It works like, we believe in it. It's magic. If you wear a cross, it's representing something. If you wear a star, it's representing something. It's a charm. It's a pendant. We give it power by what we believe in. And I want to share synchronicities. The dent, I believe it's identify, and Dan Winters talks about this. So it's that golden ratio, okay? It's our identity, we identify. So it's the pen in dent. So it's an emphasis, and I'm seeing it as, I'm dipping the ink in, and that's my form of communication, that I am creating a golden ratio harmonic that I am allowing others to identify and to carol into, to, play that song. Now I want to share also with dents. So last week, my husband, I might do a separate video on this. Let's not get separate. Let's not get too all over the place. I did want to show one though. This is the golf ball that my husband brought home the other day when he went golfing. So symbolic, okay? The dents in the golf ball, okay, I'll just touch briefly on it, help it go faster. They help it to travel faster. Am I still sharing screen? No, I'm not. Okay, I'll get this right. So it works like a charm. Oh, I wanted to look up, so what I wanted to look up is, I'm not a musically inclined person, never taken music lessons or anything like that. So, okay, I couldn't remember the name of it, but I was thinking of a metronome. So it's a pendulum I was thinking of. It's a timer to help keep us on time, keep us on track. And essentially what I'm seeing here is, I'll share screen again. And if this shuts down, guys, I apologize. So it works like a charm, pendant, dip in, pendulum. And so I'll go back and write this down, but it's a metronome. If you look up a metronome, it's a measure. I lead, I manage. We are stepping up to the plate. We are the ones creating the rhythm, okay? And it's talking about a pulse, and so much more. I mean, it's tempo. And again, referring back to my previous video and what I had written earlier, lights are low, moving in stereo. This is sound, this is music, and all of what I'm talking about on a multidimensional scale, music, harmonics, has to do, we can take it into any direction and it will apply to a certain extent in that field. So it can apply in music, it can apply in politics, it can apply in the physical realm, our bodies, it can apply to what's happening in inner earth, it can apply in physics, depending on where we go with this. It's pretty fun from my perspective. So for this wave front that you create, spills through, courses through, lays out the sheet of musical chords. And again, this has to do with chorus and cones. If you look at my last video, I referred to the cones of the eyes and also the cones of a lens. So how we perceive things, our perspective is being reflected back at us, our aperture, our ability to see things with more light and to expose and spread that light out in a longer wave pattern. Again, a reference to this is a long wave. There's so much on this particular, that's like the best slide, I think. Should I go to the next one? That's a good one of the rose. There it is, rings of the rose. That's the heart. I like this too because this is, let me see if I can make my screen bigger. I don't know if it'll work on this one. No, this is language. So this up here is language. These are the words, the letters that we write. They hold a harmonic. That is casting a spell. In physics, physics, okay? In physical, in physicality. And again, I referenced the cones of the eyes, the cones of our projection, but this also is in reference to the cones of the heart. So if you go back to the previous screen, these are what Dan calls the pine cones kissing. This right here, these two cones come together and create implosion, bliss in the heart. And I'm hearing we all fall down, rings around the rose. If we don't allow this togetherness to happen from within us, if we don't create bliss and our own implosion, then essentially we fall down. We have to come together, not just come together as a collective, which is important too, but we got to get our own stuff together, which means find our own creativity, our own, I'm hearing bloom of the rose, okay, which is bliss, compassion, inner child, neutral balance. Try to pontificate a little deeper. So I'm seeing a reference to the tri, which is 3, which is to me the triangle, which is, we could look at all the different forms of mother, father, child reunion, obviously to pontificate a little deeper. Allow the pen to fall where it may. Allow the bright light to fill your bosom. I think I might have spelled that wrong. Bust, writing or bust, like I gotta go write or I'm gonna bust. You guys, a lot of people are holding back on their creativity, and essentially it causes we want to burst at the seams because we're not creating whatever that creativity might be. And bosom obviously is the heart, the chest. Allow the dust to fall off the chalk. That makes me think, of course, of all of those the writing and the mathematics they write on chalk up on those boards in physics. Allow the game pieces to settle the score, the scoreboard. You guys, this has to do with the game that we're playing. Allow the people that are playing the game to settle the score. For the finale, finial, I don't know if I spelled that right. I think that's finial. Pine cone finial. So again, reference to third eye, reference to the pine cones kissing, as Dan Winters calls it, implosion. And it's what you put on top of something to complete it. So for the finale, and you guys, what's going on in the next couple of months, right? We've got, we are the ones. It doesn't matter what happens with the elections. And I say that with love. Of course, I have my own perspective, okay? But what I'm saying is of what I'd like to see happen, okay? However, to stay neutral, it's not about that. It's about us, because ultimately somebody's going to win, okay? And we still are in charge of our own energy. We still have to maintain ourselves despite what that reflects, okay? Wipes the slate clean. So what we do will be what wipes the slate clean, what cleans up the debris. There is a mathematical composition that is spelled wrong, but they didn't catch it. That's interesting. A balanced sing-song underscore pattern that is being established beneath the tunes. And I wrote tone loc. I think that's the rapper, and I probably totally misspelled that. You guys, last paragraph and last video, I was referring to Ice-T, and this one I'm referring to tone loc. So this has to do with tones. This has to do with the pattern being established beneath the tunes. Again, you guys, it's the underscore. It's the background music that sets the tone for what comes out of it. All right. And that's our vibration. Establish the bullet points, chop, chop. So I think I'm thinking of also, I'm going to go back in and go much deeper into this wordplay. Break it up a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm doing while I'm sharing this with you guys. But I'm also hearing chopsticks, like playing chopsticks. Bullet points are the highlights. Establish the way lines. How dense do we want to get? How much value are we going to put to this? Not just my words, you guys. This is a reference to life. The reference points, the inner dynamic word exchange flow. Morph into the now, the know, morpheology, Open the can of worms, you guys. This puts us into a wormhole. Okay, it literally is no time. Roll the dice, risk the game. So let me just pause briefly and say that roll the dice and the game risk, our previous video I talked about. I'm not going to go into that a lot, but essentially take a risk. What's that song? Take a chance on me. Take a risk on ourselves. A lot of people are scared to take that step to take the chance on them. Trust, we're building the bridge. I'll go back and show that picture in case you didn't watch the last video. We are building a bridge within our bodies, connecting to each other. We are building a foundation so that we can stabilize, so that when more, excuse the expression, shit hits the fan, because it will, because there's been hundreds of years of shit. We're cleaning up the garbage. But we are also setting the tone for the future, okay? And cleaning up the past by doing this. So we're changing time itself. Time itself has changed, okay? The score is different than it used to be. The musical harmony is different. The metachrome, the pendulum that counts time, completely shifted. We're controlling that. Take a chance on you. Trust in our hearts, not based on what people have told us to feel, but our own inner technology that we've been feeding to others, giving our power away. Okay. More theology, of course. Let's just briefly talk about this. Morph and to know. So I believe Morpheus, besides obviously the Matrix, I want to just kind of share that really quick. So if you guys haven't seen the Matrix, I always tell people to watch it. It's very valuable to give us a perspective on how this all works. However, it is based on what I see as a particular reality and timeline that isn't necessarily true. From one perspective, it's very accurate. From another perspective, that isn't necessarily a reality that exists in the same way that it used to. It doesn't have the same power that it used to. Talking about AI and all that stuff. Unless that's what we choose to believe in, and that if you want to live out that experience, then that's your choice. That's another video. But my dear friend who's been helping me just deconstruct this a little bit, Kat, her son just had a vision of this green screen, and I'm like, that's the Matrix. He saw it, and I've been writing about it, and I was like, that is so cool. So all the ones and zeros, you guys, this is real, yet we are avatars. Right? And a lot of this is a holographic presentation. So the things that are not real, or they don't hold the same weight, meaning they aren't able to hold their construction set, they're falling apart, and we're starting to see them. We're starting to see through the code. We're cracking the code. We're breaking the code, because we are the code of the rose. Because we are in that space of balance and harmony. And when you're in that space, you are Neo, right? From the Matrix. You see through it. And it's really cool. So that was cool that her son saw that, and we were discussing it, because obviously I'm seeing this, he's seeing this, she's seeing this, my friend Candace is seeing this, Jess is seeing this. A lot of I always talk about the girls from my dream group, Megan and Saskia and Liz and Kate. So my point is, a lot of people are seeing this. This is just my own way of expressing. So Morpheus is I believe, god of dreams. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Dreams and something else, but we won't get into that. Open the can of worms. Go there. Change time. Roll the dice. It's worth the risk, is what I wrote earlier. Your punctuality, your spelling points point to many directions, into deeper layers. A layering of potentiality increases the interactome, between brain and brawn. I wrote Bringers of Dawn after, only because I had thought about it. It wasn't part of this original sequence. So I'm just going to put that in parentheses. And we're going to stop there. Well, the vocabulary you seek to convey is hanging in the sky, the big apple, the pie in the sky. So this whole paragraph in itself is such a code. So we'll skip to there, between brain and brawn. So Bringers of Dawn was a book by Barbara Markansky, I think apologies on if I'm not getting her name right there. But am I not sharing screen? I'm not. So anyways, Bringers of Dawn, I read the book years ago, don't really remember all of it, but it was highly coded. I remember it, you read a book, you take what resonates and what doesn't, I read books by Ken Carey. I really love his book, Carey. Oh, goosebumps on that one. So somebody watching this needs to read the Ken Carey Starseeds Transmissions, and he's written some other ones. I mean, just so right on. But the reason I brought up the Bringers of Dawn is because it was written a long time ago. I found it at a used bookstore. I picked it up, read it, and I was just like blown away. Or found a lot of it to ring true. Ringing in the ears, ring true. It activated a lot of memories for me. It may not do the same for you, and that's okay. The reason I'm bringing it up is because we are bringing this new age. We're in the new age. We have created it. We are creating it. It's a living architecture. And I brought up a layering of potentiality. So I'm kind of dipping into the potentials here. So it's the Akashic record potentials. It's the potentials of certain timelines. It's the potentials of the energy that I'm tapping into through my own technology. Between brain and brawn. So brawn has to do here, it's a play on words of Bringers of Dawn, brawn, right? Brawn. But so it's also a reference to our brain, our own technology, our starsuit technology, our skin, our DNA, but also us, again, our will, diaphragm, our willpower to bring it, to connect it, to be cognizant, yet to somehow tie this all in with the heart. So it's not just pushing and I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, it's our brain, but it's not just logic. It's both hemispheres of our brain, southern and northern, eastern and western, dream time, right? Inner child introspection. It is wisdom, right? It is all of those things, all four directions, both hemispheres of the brain, all uniting, using that heart as that focal point is what I'm hearing. Our way to focus through the lens of the heart and the eye and everything else. Through the eye of the storm, okay? I want to just pause for a second because I didn't realize this was